We should say, before we get started on this episode, next week there won't be a new episode of Doctor Who Modern, despite the fact that we're still going to record next week, but that's beside the point. But we will be back in 2 weeks for a two-parter, so we're going to make it up to you a bit, with Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead back-to-back in the same video, because he doesn't like when we do two-parters separately, and you guys don't like when we do two-parters separately, so we're just going to combine them, and I'll just bear the weight of that. It's fine. It's just a little extra work. So we'll be doing that. That's basically that. Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around we had The Doctor's Daughter. What was that one about?
They land on a spaceship?
It was like a planet. Yeah.
But apparently there were two factions, one humanoid and one something else. Fish people.
Yeah.
Who said they had been fighting for generations, but they clone each other, and that's how they keep building their armies, who keep fighting with each other and dying off. They cloned the Doctor as soon as he got there, producing the Doctor's daughter. And as they battle towards an area that supposedly is the source of all their problems, Donna, who has been an accountant or a bookkeeper, knows her math, keeps noticing that numbers keep declining, and she finally figures out that these people have not been fighting for, hundreds of years or thousands of years, but like a week, and they produce 4 or 5 generations every day. But the generations have memories of the previous generation, which makes them think that they've been fighting for, millennia, and ultimately they decide to reconcile, but the leader of the humanoids does not want to do that, and he tries to shoot at the Doctor, but instead he shoots the Doctor's daughter and kills her. But after Donna and the Doctor take off, she regenerates. She comes back to life. She doesn't have a new body or a new personality, and she steals a spaceship and says she's got planets to save. Anyway, that was pretty much it.
And Martha was there too.
Oh, yes.
It's a little easy to forget that Martha was there in that episode too, but they drop Martha back off, and that's just that for Martha. So yeah, that's pretty much where we left off. We are also still making our way through Torchwood season 2 very slowly. We watched episode 3, which was To the Last Man. I will at least give credit, and obviously we'll talk more about this in the discussion of season 2. I thought that episode was more interesting than most Torchwood episodes were, just with the history and the time loop, and it was a good episode for Tosh and everything, so there's at least something. Torchwood this season has not been bad at all, and there were a couple episodes in season 1 that were just awful. So
now, just for a point of reference, my grandfather, Alex's great-grandfather, fought in World War I. We have generations of military, literally going all the way back to the Revolutionary War. They fought in the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, somehow managed to miss the Spanish-American War, but then World War I, World War II, and Vietnam. The only reason my father did not participate in the Korean War is because I was born during that time, and he was allowed to stay stateside, and by the time I was about a year old, the war was over.
But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. Today we've got The Unicorn and the Wasp. Do you have any idea what this could be?
I'm assuming it's not a setup for a Marvel movie.
No. No.
Oh, and there is one other thing I wanted to say. I think I incorrectly stated last week, because the guy who had played the leader of the humanoids in Doctor's Daughter played young Prince John in the movie The Lion in Winter, and I said that Timothy Dalton, I thought, had played Geoffrey, but I looked that up. He was not Geoffrey. He played the young King Philip of France, but he was in it. Yes, I do remember him being in it.
Yeah. So all of you who are huge Lion in Winter fans who were screaming at your monitors that he got that little detail wrong, all maybe one of you, and that's a very big maybe. So that does remind me. It's just funny where it's just, that is yeah, sorry to say, but a very old movie at this point, and so it's just the thought of like how many people that watch our videos have seen that. I haven't even seen it, so that's probably that doesn't really help.
I want to say it's 1968.
Yeah. So, but it's also just funny because I have that same problem now with Doctor Who, because in the current season of Doctor Who, they keep bringing back villains from the classic era, and now I have to sit here and be like, so, I'm Johnny Knowledgeable, and I will tell you about this villain from classic Doctor Who, because there are so many people watching Doctor Who that have not, and probably won't watch classic Doctor Who. And so it's just like, boy, a lot of these reveals are falling flat. Now, granted, you know, there are reveals even in just modern Who. I mean, we had the reveal of the Master, and my first time watching this, I was like, I don't know who the Master is. But the episode gave it big weight, so I don't know, but that is a continuing problem with the current era of Doctor Who, that they keep bringing back classic Who villains, and even some, like, they're bringing back some villains where it's like, okay, if you've seen a couple episodes of classic Doctor Who, you still haven't seen these villains, because you've probably gone back to a good Tom Baker episode, and this is not a villain from a good Tom Baker episode, it's a villain from probably later on, and it's just like, what are we doing? I understand this, but that's because I've sat through all of it. So
now, the question then for me in this particular thing here is, how did people who have watched New Who but never watched Classic Who, how did they react to the Sontarans?
Well, again, I suppose I do have a bit of preference. I do have a bit of reference on this because I was that. At the time, I mean, it was interesting, but I didn't really know who... I obviously didn't know who the Sontarans were, but it is one thing of, like, they present the Sontarans well enough to where it's like, okay, there is something, you know, there is clearly something, the Doctor has met them before, but they are integrated into the story so well to where it's like, this could be an entirely new thing, and, you know,
Yeah.
it just works. So, like, I think most people who start on New Who, you know, they can get, like, it's like the first Dalek episode. It's like, that is a very good episode to introduce the Daleks, and that was the same thing where I was like, I don't know who the Daleks are, you know, but that episode, especially just from Christopher Eccleston's performance, just gives you the weight of what the Daleks really are. And the same goes with the Cybermen back in Series 2, and yeah, the Sontarans as well. So nowadays, I don't know, I'm seeing people having more trouble with the classic villains coming back in modern Doctor Who. So I don't know, maybe they're just not writing these reveals well enough. Or I think the problem is a lot of the times now they're being revealed in a cliffhanger. And so it's just like this big, like, this character is back. All right, now come back next week. And so it just alienates so many people that are just like, that's not really a cliffhanger for me. I'm not hanging on that cliff because I don't know what this is, you know? And I don't know. I don't know why the Master worked as well as it did. Because the Master was also a cliffhanger, but that also felt like it had too much weight. Or like the proper amount of weight for new fans to even get into it. So, I don't know. None of that matters to this episode.
Anyway.
And we said we were going to do better at these long intros, so... Anywho.
Somebody said, I can't remember how I answered this, but said aspiring is not accomplishing. We said we aspire to not talk for 15, 20 minutes at the opening. I said, yeah, we aspire to it, but we don't accomplish it.
Yeah, so... Anywho. Yeah, so we might as well just jump right into the Unicorn and the Wasp.
You can tell what year it is just by smelling.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe that big vintage car coming up the drive gave it away.
Well, it's not really a vintage car back then.
Professor's luggage, Richards. I was right. I've kept secret all these years.
No, Professor
It's
Peach in the library
unbelievable.
with a cudgel.
But why didn't they ask? Heavens.
Oh, it's you. I was just doing a little research.
They're actually going to kill him. What is this, Clue? Yes, with a cudgel. Oh.
That's impossible.
That's a very big cudgel.
We'll be late for cocktails!
What do you think? Flapper or slapper?
Fluffer, you look lovely.
I was gonna say it's weird that he still doesn't change outfits, but honestly, the pinstripe suit works here.
Yeah.
And this is Miss Donna Noble of the Chiswick Nobles.
Good afternoon, my lady. Chopping down, what? Spiffing. Top hell.
Yeah.
Thrilled.
Some of these young boys deserve a decent thrashing. Couldn't agree more, sir.
Typical. All the decent men are on the other bus.
All time lords.
Agatha Christie.
What about?
That's me.
No. You fool me every time. Well, almost every time. Well,
Yeah.
once or twice. Well, once, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
You make a rather unusual couple.
Oh, no,
Yeah, we're not a
I'm
couple.
married.
Well, obviously not. No wedding ring.
Oh, you don't miss a trick.
And I'd stay that way if I were you. The thrill is in the chase, never in the capture. Mrs. Christie, I'm so glad you could come. I'm one of your greatest followers.
You know what's nice?
I've read all
Knowing who Agatha Christie is now.
is,
And I'm not gonna get in trouble this time.
Come, I'm one of your greatest followers. I've read
Who's
all
Agatha
6
Christie?
of your books.
Books?
Mr. Christie not
Must be some
Is he needed?
British author that I don't know.
Can't a woman make her own way in the world? Can't a woman make her own way in the world?
Don't give my wife ideas.
Now, Mrs. Christie, I have a question. Why are Belgian detectives?
Belgians make such lovely buns.
We're doing Murder on the Orient Express at my theater at the end of the season.
He said he was going to the library.
The car will be found tomorrow morning by the side of a lake. 10 days later, Agatha Christie turns up at a hotel in Harrogate. Said she'd lost her memory.
The body in the library. I mean, Professor Peach in the library with the lead pipe.
Let me see.
There's a murder, a mystery, and Agatha Christie.
No, happens to me all the time.
No, but isn't that a bit weird? Agatha Christie didn't walk around surrounded by murders. Not really. I mean, that's like meeting Charles Dickens and he's surrounded by ghosts at Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Next thing you know, you'll be telling me it's like Murder on the Orient Express and they all did it.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, yeah. One of your best.
But not yet.
Marvellous idea, though.
Yeah. Tell you what, copyright Donna Noble.
Okay. Anyway,
We need to go check our books, make sure they got the right copyright.
Look for clues. Any more residue? You'll need this.
Is that for real?
Go on. You're ever so plucky. Right then. Solving a
Little
murder
good
mystery with
magnifying
Agatha
glass.
Christie. Brilliant. And where were you, sir?
4:15. Damn it, let me think. Ah, yes, I remember. I was in my study, reading through some military memoirs. Fascinating stuff. Took me back to my days in the army. Started reminiscing. Mafficking, you know. Terrible war.
Just
Colonel,
terrible.
snap out of it.
I'll
I
go back
was
to
in
this
my
one.
study.
It's a ritual of mine. I needed to gather strength for the duty of hostess.
It was a lot of liquor.
I then proceeded. Of course. Excuse me. No alibis for any of them.
I mean, I do that even when I'm not drinking anything. I'll just burp randomly.
I remember.
Eh.
I was deep in the Ardennes, trying to find Charlemagne. He'd been kidnapped by an insane computer.
Doctor!
Sorry,
Charlemagne lived centuries ago.
I've got a very good memory.
Many years ago, when my father was butler to the family, Lady Edison returned from India with malaria. She locked herself in this room for 6 months until she recovered. Since then, the room has remained undisturbed.
See, I would do that too. I just don't need the basis of malaria. I would just lock myself in anyway.
1926, they've still got these.
Oh, yeah, the bees haven't disappeared yet. Ah. It's a little big. Ah. Good job.
It's a giant wasp.
What do you mean a giant wasp?
I mean a wasp. That's
giant!
Yeah.
It's only a silly little insect. When I say giant, I don't mean big. I mean flipping enormous! Look at its stick!
Let me see.
Oh, I left it. Get out of the way! You know, if I see a gargoyle falling at me, I'll step back a bit. Oh yeah, it's got a new stinger already. It's not very coordinated.
Blind boy! Don't let her get away! Quick! Before it reverts back to human form! Where are you? Come on! There's nowhere to run. Show yourself!
Ow.
That's just cheating.
Do you know what I think? Those books of yours, one day they could turn them into films. They could be talking pictures.
Talking pictures? Pictures that talk? What do you mean?
Oh, blimey, I've done it again.
Yeah.
Stories are true. I found my husband with another woman. A younger, prettier woman. Isn't it always the way?
Well, mine was with a giant spider, but very different.
You and the doctor talk such wonderful nonsense.
Come on, Agatha. What would Miss Marple do? She'd have overheard something vital by now because the murderer thinks she's just a harmless old lady.
Clever idea. Miss Marple, who writes those?
Copyright Donna Noble, add it to the list.
Donna.
Yeah.
Okay, we could split the copyright.
No. Something's inhibiting my enzymes. I've been poisoned.
Oh no.
What do we do? What do we do? It's ramens. It's cyanide. Sparkling cyanide.
At least it tasted good.
Walnuts!
So many walnuts.
I can't understand you. How many words? One word. Shake. Milk. Shake. Milk. Milk. No, not milk. Shake. Cocktail shaker. What do you want? A Harvey Wallbanger? Harvey Wallbanger? I don't know. How is Harvey Wallbanger? One word. What do you mean, Doctor? Salt. What is it? Salt. That's too salty. Oh, that's too salty. What about this? What's that? Anchovies. What is it? What else? It's a song. Mammy. I don't know. Camptown races. Camptown races. All right then. Big shock. Coming up.
Oof. Good job.
Detox. Oh. I must do that more often. I mean, the detox.
Yeah.
Doctor, you are impossible. Who are you?
It was a little touch and go, but they got there in the end.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Yeah.
Not you, Agatha. You've got a long, long life to lead yet.
Well, we know the butler didn't do it.
Then who did?
My jewelry. Faster. It's gone.
Right, we've narrowed it down to 5.
Roger.
My son. My child.
Oh.
Face down in the soup.
With a knife in his back.
Murderer is as human as you or I.
You're right. Oh, I've been so caught up with giant wasps I've forgotten. You're the expert.
I told you. I'm just a purveyor of nonsense.
No,
Well, so is he.
No, 'cause plenty.
What's inside it? The tools of your trade, Miss Redmond. Or should I say, the unicorn.
You came to this house with one sole intention.
To steal the Firestone. Oh, all right then. It's a fair cop.
Would have gotten away with it too.
Yes, we come to you, Colonel.
Damn it, woman. You with your perspicacity. You rumbled me.
You can walk.
But why?
Staying in the chair was the only way I could be certain of keeping you. Confound it, Mrs. Christie. How did you discover the truth?
Actually, I had no idea. I was just going to say you're completely innocent. Sorry.
Well, shall I sit down then?
I think you better had.
So he's not the murderer.
Indeed not.
But if he ever is, you'll know it.
Find the truth. The Firestone has quite a history.
It involves certain type of Pokemon.
Lady Edison.
Christopher, the most handsome man I'd ever seen. Our love blazed like a wildfire. I held nothing back. And in return, he showed me the incredible truth about himself. He'd made himself human to learn about us.
It's like a man flashes his family jewels and you end up with a bun in the oven.
A poor little... Lady Edison is innocent. Because at this point, Doctor.
Thank you. At this point, when we consider the lies and the secrets, the key to these events, then we have to consider it was you, Donna Noble.
What? Who did I kill?
No, but you said it all along. She wrote those brilliant, clever books. And who's her greatest admirer? The moving finger points at you, Lady Edison.
Don't leave me alone.
So she did kill them?
No.
Now just wait, for goodness sake.
Last Thursday night, what were you doing? You realized your inheritance after all these years.
Possessed by a demon, basically.
Agatha Christie with your railway station bookstore romances. What's to stop me killing you?
Oh, my dear God. My child.
What's to stop me killing you?
Kick him! Oh, it's too late to kick him.
Insecticides.
Lake! She's heading for the lake. What's she doing?
This is not a very fast chase when you zoom out a bit.
You're not meant to be like this. You've got the wrong template in your mind.
It's not listening.
Oh, you fell for it, fool.
How'd you kill a wasp? Drown it. Just like his father.
Donna, that thing couldn't help itself.
Neither could I.
It let her go. Right at the end, the Vesperform chose to save someone's life.
Is she alright, though?
I mean, he was a wasp of God for a while.
Why do I never let that happen? What? C! It's C for Cyberman. C for Carrionites.
Still there.
And facsimile edition, published in the year 5 billion.
People never stop reading them. She is the best-selling novelist of all time.
Oh, that's a long time.
But she never knew.
Well, no one knows how they're going to be remembered. All we can do is hope for the best. Maybe that's what kept her writing. Same thing keeps me travelling. Onwards?
Onwards.
Where's the, well, don't think about that. Alrighty.
Biggest library in the universe.
No, don't think about that. Despite the fact that the next episode is literally just called Silence in the Library, and you already knew that.
Well, I keep thinking of the Library of Alexandria.
Maybe it's Space Alexandria. Alright.
Well, that's fascinating in that I am familiar with many of Miss Christie's works. I was in The Mousetrap way back in the 70s. I produced The Mousetrap last year. I was in Witness for the Prosecution. I will be producing Murder on the Orient Express this year.
And here, just because.
Just because.
last time I watched this episode, I got in trouble by our British audience because the episode started and I asked, who is Agatha Christie?
Oh, no. No.
Which I understand in hindsight is blasphemy. I get it. I am sorry. I want you to know, first off, that was like 7 years ago. And
he was still a teenager.
Yeah, it was a while ago. And I never read any Agatha Christie or learned any Agatha Christie in school. However, I have since been educated, not just by all the angry comments, which we will talk about angry comments again, actually, in a few episodes. But I have since read the graphic novelization of Murder on the Orient Express. I got this for Christmas last year, and I read it, and I enjoyed it, and I did not see the twist at the end coming. For anyone who is not good at reading novels, I understand. I really understand. I do have trouble focusing on reading novels, so I had the graphic novel edition. This, I think, is really good. So for anyone out there, it exists. You can read classic literature just with, comic images and everything. So I know, granted this is the only one I've read, and I've not been exposed to literally any other story that Agatha Christie has done, but it's certainly better than the last time I watched this episode.
And of course, in an upcoming 12th Doctor episode, there's Mummy on the Orient Express. Yes. Yeah. In space.
Yeah. Which we have previously watched that episode on the channel, so we'll rewatch that one when we get to it. But yeah, look, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. I was not told. I was not educated. That was not part of our English literature courses. So,
which surprises me because again, she is, if not the best-selling author, one of the best-selling authors of all time. So I'm surprised that there wasn't an Agatha Christie somewhere in your British Lit class.
Yeah. So, and even when I was a kid in middle school and we were reading, stuff from the library. No, I never read Agatha Christie. I did read the first 2 Harry Potter novels, and I just did not get into it. Nowadays, I'm kind of glad I never did. I did watch all those movies, and I thought they were fine. But I never got into that. But, yeah, just never learned. We learned The Count of Monte Cristo in senior year of high school, but among other things, Macbeth, Beowulf, a whole lot of other stuff, but no Agatha Christie. So direct all your comments to somewhere else because it's not my fault, okay? So, and I have since educated myself, which will not be the case in a few episodes when we get to my next big controversy of this season, which is the pronunciation of a certain word. How different cultures pronounce a certain word. We're going to be getting to that soon.
It's not metallic, is it?
It's a little metallic. It's where it all began.
Oh dear.
It was also just a passing joke in that episode, but we'll get to that. But I have since educated myself on Agatha Christie, so I'm sorry. And I hope you are all sorry now that I'm actually educated. So, let's talk about the actual episode.
All right. I will be honest, I did not know that Agatha Christie was writing in the 20s. I am more familiar with the stuff that she wrote post World War II, which means that she was writing for 20 or more years. But it is interesting to see her because the common image that most people have of Agatha Christie is when she was older. She herself seems to be the template for Miss Marple, the older lady who runs around solving crimes, etc., etc. But again, her characters are fascinating. When we did The Mousetrap last year at the theater, there were people who would come out at intermission and say, I have seen this before. They had seen the production in London, one of the, if not the longest running play of all time, and said, it is so well crafted, so well put together that they literally cannot remember who the murderer is, because I don't want to say there's red herrings, but the guilt aspect is spread amongst so many of the characters that you just can't remember who it is. And it's the same way with Orient Express.
Yeah, I was not expecting the ending of Orient Express. I will be honest, and it took me a little bit. I had to like keep going back to pages and being like, okay, what was this character? They did this thing. It's like, okay, so who was it? Who's innocent? One of these people is innocent at least. And then I just like kept flipping back. It's like, hold on, what are they saying? I was just like trying to get it all. It's just like, oh my gosh, there's so much. It's also just the funniest thing of you get to the end and you just realize, boy, this whole thing was almost like destined to happen. And Poirot just happened to be on this train.
Happened to be there, yes.
Which caused this whole thing to spiral out of control. So, but you could say sometimes that's what happens with the Doctor. That sometimes, an episode... Did we have that, like, last episode? No, there was a... I feel like there's another episode recently, or maybe I'm thinking of a different episode altogether, where it's like the episode would have probably just played out, but because the Doctor came in, we still got to that ending it was going to get to. It just got really complicated because he was there. I mean, it's kind of Indiana Jones almost. Yeah. That idea that, if Indiana Jones wasn't in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Nazis still would have just died anyway. So, it is a very interesting thing. And I don't think I missed out on the way she writes by reading the graphic novel. I'm trying to be an advocate to people who have trouble reading novels. Now, it's not... I want it to be clear, because I'm sure there are people in the comments that are thinking, oh my gosh, kids today can't even read novels anymore. I want it to be known that I am not the worst off. Now, remember, I used to be a millennial. At a point, they started to describe me as Gen Z. So now I am unfortunately Gen Z. Older Gen Z is not the worst. I've seen people on Twitter saying that kids today can no longer read like third person in novels anymore. They just can't comprehend like the narrator or the main character thinking, almost or in the third person basically in novels. And I see a lot of people that are just like, what do you mean they can't read that anymore? Are we not teaching them properly? It's just like it's just so I'm not the worst example, but I want to put it out there that there are people that have trouble. I've always had trouble reading, and so reading the graphic novel was really nice.
Now, just a quick corollary to that, I probably read Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol back in the 60s. Again, done more than a dozen different productions, directed, wrote my own adaptation of it, been nearly every character in it, including Ebenezer Scrooge, oddly enough, in a Wild West adaptation. But a couple of years back, you gave me the graphic novel of A Christmas Carol, and I have to say it was fascinating because, aside from seeing, Alistair Sim and George C. Scott and Michael Caine and Albert Finney, it was fascinating to see that particular artist's version of it with the actual text.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the adaptations do not keep a lot of Dickens' style. And that bothers me a great deal. That's why my adaptation is literally just the novel on stage. I will wholeheartedly say I endorse the idea of graphic novels of great literature. Used to read something called Classics Illustrated, which was kind of a condensed version, abridged version of a lot of classics back in the 50s and 60s. But I do wholly endorse this. If you find it hard to read a 400-page novel, Count of Monte Cristo or The Three Musketeers, then definitely get a very good graphic novel of it. It will certainly help you out.
Yeah. Strangely enough, I don't remember having trouble reading The Count of Monte Cristo, but I don't know why. But I will say, because I remember I tried literally the first page of The Three Musketeers. Same writer. It's both of those are Dumas. And the first paragraph, it's not even a paragraph, it's just the world's longest sentence. And I kept having to stop and go back like 3 or 4 lines and be like, what did he just say? And how does it relate to the thing he's still saying in this sense? And I couldn't do it. I could not read the Three Musketeers. I couldn't get past the first sentence.
Now, a part of that is the adaptation.
It was probably a very old version.
There are various versions of Cyrano de Bergerac, and I've tried to go through them. The most modern one, I think, is by the guy who wrote Clockwork Orange, Anthony Burgess. The version I prefer is by a guy named, I think it's Robert Hooker. That's the one that I shall we say, edited it, and I've directed it twice. So, a lot of it depends on the translation and on the adaptation.
Yeah, and even recently I've had trouble because there are, in Japan, they have manga which will be adapted into anime, but they also have light novels, which are, they're called light novels, but as I've now come to find out, they're really just novels. I think it's meant to be more like, they're called light novels because they're more aimed to younger people. And so I was reading that, and it was a light novel of an anime that I've already watched. And it's just that the anime is not getting another season, so I was like, well, I'll just read the light novel and go through that. And as I was reading, I was really just struggling, just keeping everything in my head. And it's like, I know the imagery that's supposed to be here because I've watched the anime, so I've seen it all. But as they describe it, it's like keeping it in my head is very difficult. So that's definitely why the graphic novels. I will say, though, Murder on the Orient Express cheats a little bit. It kind of forces you into reading because this is not an action-filled book at all. I'm trying to find the page specifically. There's one page in here where I'm just like, you're really cheating with the whole, here it is. This is the page, and they're basically the exact same image left to right 6 times. And that's basically cheating. And I'll show it here. It's this page where it's just Poirot talking with someone, I don't remember his name, but it's just back and forth the entire page down with just the little speech bubbles. So it is cheating, but I don't have all the in-betweens, which I'm sure some people would say, well, that makes the book is all, in between all the dialogue, but it's like, but I get it. I can see what she originally wrote because it's in the drawing. Yeah. So I definitely approve of that too. Everyone out there who has trouble reading, I know you're out there. You're probably my age specifically because this was around the time everyone started having trouble reading. And if you really have trouble reading, and that means you're very, very young, which I don't know why you're watching these reactions, quite honestly, but maybe you're out there, and maybe you're really young, and maybe you have a hard time reading, please try, for God's sake. You need to be able to read somewhat.
Yeah.
Aho.
Famous author named Barbara Tuchman basically said books are the carriers of civilization. Before books, there is no history. I mean, there's oral history, but oral history, like we've been talking about telephone, gets distorted by every generation. So it is the written word that has propelled Earth's civilization in just the past 8,000 years from literal modern Stone Age, New Stone Age, to the Space Age, the Information Age.
And above all, like, forms of entertainment, books are kind of everlasting because it's like, we have movies, we have video games, we have all this stuff, but the fact that just one person can sit down at a, back in the day it'd be a typewriter. I'm sure there's still authors that use typewriters, or they sit down at their computer and they just type an entire story into existence. That is an incredible thing. Yeah. You can't do that with a movie. You can kind of do that with a movie. If you're really skilled, one person could make a movie all by themselves, but even then, there's a lot of sacrifices that would be made to the quality of the story. If you want an actual movie, you spend way too much money. You spend millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars to get a half-decent Marvel movie. Whereas, someone could just sit down, write down, maybe not even on a computer, just write down something in a notebook, and it's like, there you go. There's an entire world of a story just like that in a book.
And again, corollary to that, the best thing to me about books is that For example, a movie is one director's vision, shared among the collaborators, the set designers, the costumers, and the sound and all that, and the actors. But you can pick up a book, and you have that entire story in your mind the way you interpret it.
Yeah.
And I can pick that same book up and have a completely different view of it because my experiences are different from yours. And that's the thing. There are 8.5 billion people in the world, and every one of them could have a different idea of what Murder on the Orient Express is.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway,
and by the way, there is one thing. I'm not going to say I didn't like it, but the one thing about this episode that somewhat bothers me. I'm now very well used to the fact that we're going to have aliens in historicals. But I don't think the Vespiform actually had to be a giant wasp.
Oh, yeah.
I would have preferred to see some form of humanoid, because that would have made it easier for the vicar to slip in and out, because he wouldn't have to make the enormous change. What happens to his clothes when he changes into the Vespiform? You would seem like the Hulk that all just rips apart, and when he changes back, he's in the buff.
Yeah, and the fact that he can do that so quickly, apparently, it would have worked better if it was like, well, they're sort of locked into this human form, but maybe their stinger can come out of their hand, and that's how they killed someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be the hook at the beginning of, there's something going on. There's the Professor Peach in the library, and it's like, oh well, this is the classic setup, and then they just see it's a giant friggin' wasp, and it's a mystery of, well, I can't tell immediately who's the giant friggin' wasp. So I guess that's the mystery. Yeah. So,
and I don't want to say the unicorn is a total red herring, but it doesn't seem to me that the unicorn was a large enough part of the story to be put into the title.
The unicorn really doesn't add much. It's just it's there, and it tried to steal the Firestone, but it's not the wasp.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, otherwise, a very good episode. I do like that this is sort of a running thing with modern Doctor Who, and they kind of step away from this at a point, but for a while, it's like every series we have to go and meet one famous person, generally an author. So we met Charles Dickens.
We had Shakespeare.
We had Shakespeare, and now Agatha Christie. We will have someone, not an author, but we will have someone next season. Was there anyone in season 2? I can't remember. With Tennant and Rose? I can't fully remember. Maybe if I can just look through the episodes real quick. That's the problem. I can't remember the episodes. So, let me see real quick. I have way too many Doctor Who playlists on this channel, so...
You'll probably edit this part out.
I probably won't, now that I think about it. Well, we did have the Madame de Pompadour episode.
Yeah.
So that was our historical episode. Again, not an author, but at least something. So it's like I at least like this, and just with this pattern of authors specifically, where it's like, all right, we meet Charles Dickens, and it's exactly like Donna said. It's like, oh well, it's like if you met Charles Dickens and there were ghosts at Christmas, and it's like that's exactly what happened in that episode. And it's like, well, if you meet Shakespeare and there are witches flying around, it's like, well, that's exactly what happened there too. So now it's just we met Agatha Christie and there's got to be a murder mystery.
Yeah.
So, and that rhymes too. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, because there's only so much you can kind of talk about the ins and outs of the actual mystery, because it does just come down to the Reverend being the Wasp. But it is interesting, like, you do see, like, some clues. The fact that they dropped that very early on of, like, oh, yes, I apprehended 2 boys that were trespassing and stuff, and it's like, okay, that happened. But then it's like, did you do that? The man of God against 2 strapping lads.
But when he says the 2 boys, I was thinking much younger, 12-year-olds. And, an adult man could handle, if he had said a couple of lads, or a couple of older boys, then yes, that might have put a little bit more of a question mark to it. But when he said boys, I was assuming they were just kids who were trying to, rifle some money to go get some sweets or something.
Yeah, so, and then the whole thing of the room that's locked off, she contracted malaria and she locked herself away for 6 months. And okay, well, that was 6 months because she was 3 months into being pregnant with a wasp creature. But it is also kind of weird too that when they go into the backstory and it's oh yes, I met this incredible man and then he told me he was a wasp and I just kind of went with it and then I had a child after he drowned, which that's also the thing where it's there was the great flood and it took him, and it's well, if he's a wasp, why didn't he fly up away from the water? Why wouldn't you stay away from the water? But that's to set up that you can drown the wasp, which is exactly what Donna does. So,
and again, when she said he was lost, I assumed it was like a flash flood or something, and not just drowning in a monsoon.
Maybe.
Now, monsoons do create a lot of flash flooding.
Yeah. It is also interesting, at the end when the doctor says, that creature, it couldn't help itself, and Donna essentially just killed it. And it is a thing of because it's it did murder these people, sure, but that was all just in its genetic template that just happened to absorb what was that book, the book she was reading,
Murder of Roger Ackroyd.
Yeah, it's Dan Aykroyd's father, I guess. I don't know. So I don't know, they haven't made that into a comic, or maybe they have, I don't know. I have no idea how many Agatha Christie books have been made into a comic.
I think there's a film adaptation of it, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, so
I have not seen it.
Yeah, so it's an interesting thing because it's it's well, it couldn't help itself, but I don't know. I mean, what else were you gonna do? It's one of those things of yeah, I guess the doctor's right. It was technically an innocent life form, but at the same time, it wasn't an innocent life form. I don't know, and I guess the show didn't bother dwelling on that very much. So. We got anything else? I do kind of feel like we talked little about the episode and more just about Agatha Christie in general, although I guess that's kind of the point.
And that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, so. And I mean, that's kind of what the episode did, was all these points about Agatha Christie. And so yeah, in 5 billion years, when the Earth is destroyed, by the way, which we have seen, Agatha Christie will still be the best-selling novelist of all time throughout all the universe. That's a pretty big achievement. That's also a bold claim, because it's this can never change. Doctor Who has banked on the fact that Agatha Christie will always be the best-selling novelist of all time. So, but I mean, what exactly is her competition?
Well,
I mean, the Bible, but...
if you want to get into that as a novel.
Yeah.
Well, there are some mystery writers. Can't think of any right off the bat because I don't normally read mysteries. But there are, let's face it, guys like Douglas Adams, very popular. You get back to the classics, Dumas, and some of the other French writers, Rostand, Voltaire, Molière, playwrights, Neil Simon, playwright.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Harry Potter's going to be outselling her anytime in the future, so I feel bad for Harry Potter fans, quite honestly. They didn't deserve this, but I don't know. I ditched Harry Potter. I started reading Percy Jackson when I was in middle school, and Artemis Fowl. So, shout out to anyone in the comments. Let us know if you're a fan of that, or just what's your favorite book? What's your favorite book specifically?
My favorite book is a science fiction book. When I was in high school and in college, my favorite writer was Kurt Vonnegut Jr. His best book is generally considered to be Breakfast of Champions, which I thought was all right. But he has, and again, this is I think something that would make a perfect Doctor Who story. It's called The Sirens of Titan, and it is a story about a man who can travel through time and space. They call it the chronosynclastic infundibulum. And what he learns is that the entire history of Earth has been essentially manufactured by an alien who, and unfortunately, crash-landed his spacecraft on one of Saturn's moons, a moon called Titan. And in order to repair his spaceship, he needs one tiny little part to do it. And so he figures out through the chronosynclastic infundibulum a way to essentially engineer Earth's history through the space age to get all of this stuff to colonies on Mars and everything, and ultimately to get that one little piece to him on Titan so that he can fix his spaceship and go back home. And I mean, it's a brilliant idea that everything on Earth, literally since the formation of the Earth 14 some odd billion years ago, or even from the Big Bang, has all in fact been engineered by a single being, not necessarily a cosmic being like a deity, but by an alien who simply wants to make his way to go home.
Well, yeah, that honestly sounds like a couple episodes of Doctor Who that we'll have in the future. Yeah. So, for me, it's The Count of Monte Cristo. It was the best thing that we read in high school. Everyone loved The Count of Monte Cristo. And even that year, like, there was some good stuff that we had. I mean, Beowulf was good. Macbeth was very interesting. Because we read and read a lot of things that senior year of high school. We started with Beowulf, which we kind of had an audiobook of, and then we had, I think Macbeth was in the textbook, and we were half reading it and half watching a movie version with Ian McKellen as Macbeth. But we actually just fully read The Count of Monte Cristo, and then after that, it kind of petered out a bit. I'm going to be honest. We had like Tess of the D'Urbervilles and stuff, and that was just, we all agreed that was god awful.
Don't get him started on Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
I hated that so much. But that one, we didn't even read that at all. That was just watching a movie, and it's such an awful movie. But after that, we watched like The Importance of Being Earnest, and that was good.
That is one of the funniest plays of all time.
Yeah, but Count of Monte Cristo is definitely my favorite. I know there are comic adaptations. I think there's actually manga adaptations of it too, that you can find like on Amazon or at a bookstore probably if you actually go to those and they're still around. And if you don't want to read any of those, there is always the anime adaptation of The Count of Monte Cristo, which it's called Gankutsuo, The Count of Monte Cristo. I will always say it is the most accurate adaptation of the book that exists, which is saying something because it takes place 3,000 years in the future in space France. But it's still one of the best adaptations. None of the movies get them right, probably because they don't have the time to do it. If you're going to adapt The Count of Monte Cristo, like, HBO needs to be making a show out of this if you're going to do it properly. But that's the closest one. If you want to watch that, I've reviewed it on the channel. It's probably available on Crunchyroll, or maybe it's on Netflix. That'd be nice, but
my reaction is because he forced us to watch it.
Okay. So admittedly, if you're not used to watching anime, it's not a good first step. If you would like to get into anime, I have 7 anime that I can recommend that are good for beginners. That's not one of them, but it's still just a really good adaptation. It's the closest thing we have. It's not perfect, it's not exact, but it is incredibly close. Or you could read the book.
Which I did after watching the anime.
Yeah, so the anime did some good. You read The Count of Monte Cristo.
Well, the anime was so, in my opinion, weird that I needed to go back and see what the source was, and the novel is so much better.
Yes, but the anime is very good. It's very close. Granted, in the book, he's not blue. and they're not in space, but and he's not possessed by a demon, but a space demon.
But other than that,
it's fairly accurate. It's a fairly accurate adaptation, and it's so much closer than any of the movies. All the movies fail so badly. It's a train wreck with all those movie adaptations. So, anywho, like we said, we're not going to be back next week. We're going to be back in 2 weeks. We're going to be doing the library 2-parter. We're going to be doing both of those in the same video. So it'll be like the old classic reactions again. We'll watch an episode, talk for a few minutes, and then watch another episode and talk for a few minutes. So
buckle up.
So yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
And with all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. In the meantime, while we're taking this week off, go read a book, and then come back and watch more of our Doctor Who reactions, because, geez, we need the views. So, see you guys then. Alright, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our modern Doctor Who reactions. There's another playlist with all of every Doctor Who reaction that's on the channel, including my original one where I asked who is Agatha Christie. So you can go watch that and leave hate for me. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.